So I think I will just get started and if is the sound right now okay, or are there any echoes in continuing? Let me adjust the mic. Is the sound okay now? Okay. Okay, so I will go ahead and get started for today's webinar. Okay, I see that the sound is clear. Okay, so my name is Peggy and I'm the Customer Success Manager at Quire. And I would like to say that thank you for joining us for today's webinar. And before we get started, there are some things that we want to remind you. So the microphone will be kept muted throughout the whole webinar. So if you have any questions, just let us know in the chat. So if the mic is sounding quite poorly or if I'm talking too fast, just let us know. Let me know in the chat. And also the webinar will be recorded. So we will be sending out the recording link afterwards. And also the topic for today is custom fields and formulas. It can get quite advanced. So the recording is good and useful for you to save so you can go back and watch it on demand on your own. Okay. So let us know where you're from. My name is Peggy again. I am currently based in Taipei, Taiwan, and it's 10 at night for me right now. And let us know where you're from. It's in the morning or it's in the evening. And also say hi to everybody else who is joining us for today's webinar as well. And okay, if you have any questions during the webinar, just let us know in the chat. And if you're using a mobile device to join us, you can find the chat in down below in the More Options menu. And if you have any questions about the topic for today, which is custom fields and formulas, you can leave them in the Q&A. And you will be able to find it next to the chat, I believe, at the top. And it's the questions leave there will help us like gather the questions afterwards, and we will save 10 minutes to like answer all of them at the end. And there's a surprise. So if you leave any questions in the Q&A, if you join us on our discussion for today, we will draw 3 random users to receive a $50 worth of coupon. You can use it to upgrade your Quire subscription, or when you already have a subscription, you can apply it when you want to add more members or upgrade to higher tier. Okay, so for today's webinar, our topic will be our newly released feature, which is our custom fields, formulas, and table view. And I will go ahead and start with our agenda for today. So at the beginning, I will explain how you can add custom fields for your project. And I will switch to the table view and show you how the custom fields that you have added will show up in the table view. And towards the end, I will spend some time to explain how you can write the formulas using the custom fields. This will help you calculate the data that you have entered into your project. And again, at the end, I will save 5 to 10 minutes for our Q&A. So if you have any ideas you want to share or requests for new features, or if you have any other related questions, just let us know in the Q&A. So before I go ahead and start, let us know in the chat that whether you are a Quire expert or if you only joined Quire for a couple of times, or if you just signed up for a Quire account, you are a complete beginner. This information will help us improve our content for our future webinars. Okay. So for our first part of today's webinar is our custom fields. So in Quire, actually there are several default fields. If you have already been using Quire for some time, you will see that there are default fields. But for some different projects that you might have, you may want to add, like, create your own custom fields to track different information for your project and workflow. So this is where custom fields will help you do that. And again, like I said, the default fields that you can add to your task is already this assignees, start and due dates, priority, tags, and status. So these information will already be displayed in the nested task list view. And also, if you open up the detail panel, you will also see these information already. But you won't be able to toggle them on and off if you choose that if you don't want the assignee to show. If you feel like it's not important to you, you cannot toggle them off. So in some cases, the default fields will not work that well for you or your team or even your project. So that is why you can create custom fields. And you can use the custom fields to modify the tasks and add more customizable information that suits your project needs. So each team is actually different, and the information that needs to be tracked is unique for your own company or for yourself. And you can add the custom fields to configure your project and track what matters and what is important to you. So for example, you can see right here on the screen, I have already added two different fields, the budget field and the actual spend field separately. This will help me track the budget and cost associated with my task. So this is an example. And now for the next few minutes, I will go ahead and switch to my Quire workspace and show you how you can add a custom field for your project, for your task. And then I will explain the different types of formats that you can set to your custom fields. And at the end, I will also show you how you can edit it afterwards. So, right now, you will see that this is my Quire project, and this is okay. I will change it. This is a Quire project that I have set up beforehand for my construction website. And right now, the default view is actually the list view, and you can find the custom fields in the detail panel right here. So if you're new, if you don't know, if you cannot see a detail panel, actually it's hidden on the right-hand side of your workspace. So you have to open it up before you go ahead and add the custom fields like this. So here you will find the custom fields, and also here you can also add new custom fields by going to the project drop-down menu right here and go to edit fields. Okay. Like this. And when you go ahead and add a new field, you will see the new dialog pop up right here. And down below, you can choose different types that you want to set the custom fields to. So right here, you can see that you can set it to text, number, currency, and all these other options. And I will, for formulas, I will keep this information towards the end of the webinar. I'll explain more about how you can write formulas since it's pretty advanced. But for example, for numbers and currency, actually you can set more customized information. For example, you can change the symbol or you can change the decimals that you want to show for your custom fields. So for example, I want to track, let's say I want to track the budget. I can go ahead and type in budget like this, and then set the type to currency and add the symbol, the decimals. So if I don't want to, I already created a budget field already. So you can see that it is already shown in the detail panel right here. And you can actually click on the field and go ahead and change the value for the task directly. Okay, so further on, you can find, you can find the edit fields option right here. This way, if you want to change the information that you have already set, you can go ahead and edit it right here. Okay. So these are some tips for the custom fields, and I will go back to the webinar. So for now, if you have any questions regarding the custom fields, you can let us know in the Q&A. So for the next part of our webinar is our table view. And actually, you can use the table view to manage your task with a spreadsheet like view. And here is an example that you can see on the screen. The default view, again, is for your project is our nested task list. And again, in the nested task list, only the default options will be displayed next to your task name, as I showed you earlier. But you can always switch to the table view to display more customized information. And your task will be then shown in the table form, and you will see the task in separate rows. And also, the tree structure will actually remain right here. So if you have already built your project with a nested task list with parent task and subtask, it will remain in the table view as well. And here, all the options will be displayed in different columns. And again, I will go ahead to switch to my Quire workspace and show you how you can use the table view. So with the project, same project again, this is the nested task list as your default view, and you'll find the different view options right here at the top. So for the table view, it's the third option, and you can click on it to go into the table view directly. And another tip right here is that you can use the keyboard shortcut number 3. Just press number 3 and it will change to the view quickly if you're a user with keyboard shortcuts. And you can see that right now, already the different fields, the default fields are shown right here. And actually you can, when you hover over, you will see the icons show up and you can add the assignees directly like this. And also the custom fields that I have already added are shown up already in the table view as well. And to add new columns, you can press the add icon right here. And you will find a menu of different options that you can add to your table view. So for example, I can choose duration. And you will see that right now my duration column is blank right now. It's because I didn't set the due date. So if I go ahead and set the due date for the task, you will see that the system will automatically calculate the duration for the task. So if I go ahead and save it, it will show that, okay, this task, the duration is 14 days. So it's pretty straightforward. You can just go ahead and click on the add icon and choose what you want to display in your table view. And this is customizable if you don't want the default view to show, default options to show, just toggle it off. And another example is for the time logs. Okay. So if you joined us for our earlier previous webinar, you will know that we have a time tracking feature. You can use this feature to track the time spent for each team members. And when I go ahead in the detail panel again, there's a time spent, time tracking activity right here. If I go ahead and open it up, I can add new entries. And this will help me, for example, if me as a member, I spent 1 hour to complete or to work on this task, I can save it, and then it will help me track the total time that was spent on each task. And I have already turned on the time log custom column right here. So you will see that all the time logs will show up right here as well. So again, you can go ahead into your project and toggle on the table view and see what information that you want to show for your project. And you can, if you want to change the order for the columns, you can just drag and drop to change it. This is pretty straightforward. And when you go ahead and click on the header on top, you can hide it. Or if you click on the custom fields, you can go ahead and edit it right here. So you don't have to do it by going into the detail panel again. So for now, if you have any questions about the table view and also the custom fields, just let us know in the question Q&A. If not, I will go ahead to the third part for our webinar for today, which is Quire Formulas. And I think that most of the people that sign up for today is most excited about this part. And so for formulas, actually, this is a more advanced feature and it can get quite complicated at some level. But with Quire Formula, it actually can allow you to calculate different metrics based on the existing data that you have already added to your tasks. Okay, so actually, when you go ahead and add a custom field, you can change the type into a formula. So for example, right here on the screen, you can see that this is my example. I have created this formula to help me calculate a fixed tax amount for the budget. And for this example, you can see that I have entered total budget times 0.2. So it will automatically do the math for me based on the values that I have entered for the budget column for my tasks. And the formula results will actually automatically update according to the changes made. And I also want to point out that the formulas in Quire will apply to the entire column, so not just one cell. So here for today, I will show you how you can do some basic mathematical calculations and also show you some examples for more advanced operators, logical operators, and conditional operators. And also I will talk about our functions that you can use for the Quire formulas in Quire projects. So here, you can see that I have already created a total budget field for my project. And right now, for the example I want to show you is that I want to create a new formula to help me calculate the tax. So I'll go ahead and add a new field right here. And then I'll name it as tax. And then I will set the type into formula like this. So unlike you will see the input right here, and unlike other spreadsheet tools out there, when you type a formula, you need to actually reference a cell number. But actually in Quire, you can just type in the custom field name that you have just created. So for my example, I wanted to calculate the 20% of the budget. So I'll go ahead and just type in total budget, and you will see the menu automatically updates down below, and I can choose the field's name, total budget. And right now you will see that it is the total budget field name is wrapped between the curly brackets. This is because the field name contains multiple words, and you will need to remember to wrap it with the curly brackets so our system will know that it's a field name, not any just random text, and also to avoid errors in the future. And I can go ahead and type in times 0.2. So before I go ahead and save this formula, I want to set the format for my results. So I want to set it to currency in this example. And here again, you can change the symbol however you like. And I wanted to set it to decimals for 2 numbers. So save. And after you save it, you will see at the right-hand side right here, a new column has already been created, and you can see that there are already values automatically calculated for me. And this is calculated based on my total budget. So for 800 budget, it's $160. So this is automatically updated. So if I go ahead and type in a new budget right here, like this, 100, it will go ahead and calculate $20 for me automatically. So other than the multiplication example that I showed you, you can also do addition, subtraction, and division. And this is quite easy and more straightforward. So if you're using Quire project, for example, like for an inventory example, you can actually create different custom fields to help you calculate the leftover amount automatically. So another example I want to show you is that other than the mathematical operators that I showed you, we have a special operator called the dot operator. And with this operator, it can actually specify a certain information for a certain field. And I will show you right now in the example so it's more easy to understand. So for example, I want the system to help me like list out all the time spent for the subtask. So example, I will go ahead and type in time spent, name it first, and then time spent, and set it to, oh, there's a typo, set it to formula. And with a dot operator, I can go ahead and, for example, specify subtasks like this and type in dot. And in this example, I want to specify the time spent. So I go ahead and type in time spent like this. And when I go ahead and save, it will help me list out all the time spent for all the tasks right here. So for example, if I go ahead and add more time logs right here, let me show you with a quick example. For example, if I change it to 6 hours, you will see that subtask time spent is already added right here. So this is a quick way if you want to like call out like specific certain information for your custom fields. You can use the dot operator. So we actually support a variety of operators inside Quire for your Quire formula. And one of the most common operators is actually the conditional operator. And this is quite useful if you want to use it in a condition. So I will show you with another example right here. So I will add another new field. and I will call it overspent. So in this example, I want to help like track whether my spending is over my budget. I can use the conditional operator to help me do that. So I will change it to the formula first. And actually, I've already prepared the formula. I'll go ahead and paste it. Okay, so here with the conditional operator, it's actually a question mark with a colon. So you have to remember to use this for the conditional expressions. So before the question mark, you want to enter your condition. So in this example, if the actual spend is larger than my total budget, I wanted to show over the text inside the custom fields that I have created, but otherwise it will show within. So if I go ahead and save, you will know what I'm talking about. Okay. So right now, here, if again my condition is if the actual spent column is larger than the total budget column, then it will show over, but otherwise it will show within. So for this case, 500 is smaller than 800, so this is within the budget. So this is quite useful if you don't want this, if you can like set conditions to your project and for your tasks. So for another example is our where operator. This is also quite complicated as well, but I will show you with another example. Okay, so I add another field. So for example, I want the system to like help me list out all these subtasks that has a budget larger than 300. I want the system to help me find which task fits this condition. I can go ahead and set a formula for this. So I'll name the field again and set it to formula. And here I wanted to find subtask for me. So I will type in subtask first. And this is the where operator example that I'm talking about. So I'll type in where, and I want to specify the total budget. So the system will know that, okay, I will find the total budget only. So I will specify with any, and then type in any with a dot operator. Again, I will go ahead and type in total budget and then set it to 300, larger than 300. And when I save this column, it will find the task that has a total budget that is over 300. So right now it has already listed out two tasks for me. So if I go ahead and click on it, it will jump to the task directly, like this. Okay. So actually, there are a lot of different operators that we support inside Quire for our formulas. And if you want to check them out, that if you cannot find any example that fits your use case for your project for today, you can check them out in our blog post. And right now, Vicky will help me paste the link inside the chat so you can see more information right there. So another thing is that if you want to calculate some data for your project and if you couldn't figure out how to write the formula, you can submit your question or your request through the form. And right now, Vicky will also paste this inside the chat. So our team will get back to you as soon as possible if the value can be calculated with our system. And I also encourage you to give us like as many details for your scenario as possible, and it will give us more insights so we can give you the response more quicker. So here are some key takeaways for the formulas that I have mentioned. The first one is you need to create the custom fields with multiple names. You need to wrap it around the curly brackets like this, so it will avoid the errors. And also the second one is that if you want to put text strings inside your formula, you need to wrap it with quotation marks. So with the example that I've showed you earlier, it's with over, I've wrapped them with quotation marks right here. And within is also wrapped with quotation marks. And the third one is the dot operator. So for the example that I've showed you is subtasks dot time spent, which means that I want to specify the time spent for the subtask. So you can also change this, the information towards the end by yourself. So you can change it to subtask dot priority or subtask dot duration. It all depends on what information that you want to specify for your tasks. Okay, so this is actually the last part for our today's webinar. So the formulas that I have mentioned earlier, you can add them to the custom fields for your task, but also you can add them to the description area. This way you can create a personalized report for your project, for your entire project or for your organization. So this is good or useful if you are a project manager and if you want to like review or understand the basic metrics for your project on a daily basis. You can put the formulas that you want to calculate in the project description. And when the values are updated for your task, this information will update automatically as well. So you don't need to go ahead and like calculate it by your own for each single task. The system will do it for you, and this is good for you if you want to create like a reporting system for your project. And the thing that you want to remember here is that you need to wrap the formulas with the double curly brackets right here, or else our system will not know that you're calculating data for your project. Okay. And let me show you some examples that you can use for this. I'll go ahead and go back to the Quire project. And first, you will need to find the overview, the description area for your project right here. You can go to the overview tab right here, and then here you will find the description area. So if, for example, for this project, I want to create a cost baseline for this and evaluate the budget cost for future similar projects, I can go ahead and type in something like this. Like this. And you can see that I have created a name at the beginning, and then I have wrapped my formulas right here with the double curly brackets. So for this example, I'm telling the system to help me list out all the total budgets for each task and help me make a sum number for this. So when I go ahead and save it, you will see that it's automatically calculating the value for this. So when another team member, for example, go back to the list view and add another cut budget for your project, for example, like this. When you go ahead and save it, going back to the overview, the value will automatically be calculated and added up into this part right here. Okay. So another example here, which we find quite useful, is if you want to list out the project health, for example. So I will paste it right here. So for this example, this is helping me to like see how healthy my project is, and is there any important tasks that this project has missed out, and any overdue task hasn't been completed. So for this formula, you can see that I want the system to help me count um, the task that has a priority that is over or higher than is higher or equal to high, and it also count the task that has a due date which is earlier than today. And if this number is over 20, it will show dangerous for me, and if it's lower than 20, it will show safe. So when I go ahead and save it, you will see that right now it's safe. And if I go back to the list and I change the priority and change the due dates, it will automatically update the information right here as well. Okay. So right now, if you have any questions for our webinar for today, let us know in the Q&A or in the chat. Okay. So if you're having problem writing the questions in the Q&A, you can also leave them in the chat. We will gather the questions there as well for us. Okay, so if you're using this time to think about the questions that you want to ask us, I've also prepared some common formulas that are used by the Quire team right here. And I want to show you these different examples. So it can give you like a more insightful information on whether if you want to create your own formulas for your Quire project. Okay, so the first one is actually you can use the formulas to calculate the schedule variances. So you can just go ahead and create another custom field and type in time spent, set it to formula first, and type in time spent minus estimated. So here time spent is the time logs that you log into the task, each task for your project. And estimated is also the estimated time that you logged for your for your task as well. And for this custom field, for this formula, the system will automatically calculate the value for you and for each task. And also you can calculate the total billing. So for example, if you are working with freelancers on your project, you can use this to calculate the total amount that you need to bill for your freelancers. So time spent, again, is the time log that you added to your task. And you need to remember to create another custom fields to track the budget per hour. And when you time these two values up, it will create a total billing for each task. And another example is that you can use formulas to calculate the return of investment. This is pretty straightforward. You need to create two different custom fields. The first one is net revenue, and you need to create another one is cost of investment divided up, and you will get your return of investments. But the point here is that when you add it up, when you add a formula right here, you need to set the format into percentage. So this way, it will automatically change the format to percentage without you typing in divided and times 100 again. And for the last formula, this is a more advanced example that we want to show you. Actually, you can use the formulas to help you calculate the working hours allocation. You can use several seconds to try and destructure this example on your own and figure out what I'm trying to calculate with this formula and see if you can understand it on your own before I go ahead and explain. Okay. So this formula actually in plain English is actually to sum up the duration of the specified member. So I'm trying to find all the task log for Steve Jensen in this case and sum up the duration. So I need to use the dot operator right here and specify durations and to sum it up with a sum function. And if this value is larger or equal to 9 hours with the conditional operator, question mark, I want to show overload. And if otherwise, it will show underload. So if I put this formula into the description area, it will actually show right here, like this. And it will automatically calculate it and automatically updates the information for your project. So I want to, since this is towards the end for our webinar, I want to point out again, in Quire, the formula is calculate the collection of tasks as an array. So for example, you can see that it's as an array means that it will sum up all the tasks for for your project. So this is why you can use this formula to sum up the task and the total cost for your tasks. Okay. So here now I will go go ahead and check if there are any questions that we can answer or haven't been answered by Vicky already. I think I will help her answer them directly. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the chat, and right now I will check to see if any of them are answered yet. Okay, so I see that in the Q&A section, there's a question about whether the custom fields values are available via the developer API. So currently this is not available right now. However, I will pass this information, gather this request and pass it back to our developer team and project team. If there are any updates, we will actually keep everybody updated through our social media and post them the new release features right there. Okay, so another question we get in the chat is there any display to easily see if an attachment is in the task? Okay, so this is actually, you can go ahead and toggle on the advanced mode. You can just use the Alt key, the Option key if you're using Mac. And if you're using Windows, you can go ahead and use the alphabet I, and it will toggle on at advanced mode and you will see the breadcrumbs and if you have an attachment for your task, you will see an attachment icon right next to your task name. So you don't have to go inside your detail panel all the time. So I hope that is clear enough and answer your question. So if we don't have, I believe that all the questions are answered by Vicky in the chat or in the Q&A. But if you have any other questions when going back to try out the formulas, when creating your formula in Quire, you can always reach out to us, and our team will be very helpful. Will be very happy to reach out, and you can reach out to us using the question mark icon in the workspace on top. But if you can also reach out to us using the email feedback@quire.io. And also we have other self-learning options right here. You can go to our community. You can also find tutorials and blogs and guides. So these information are all up online if you like to check them out by yourself.